Hey Alyssa, it's Miss Tracy. I'm looking at the problems from 7071 that you are struggling with. I think what you're struggling with is the denominator for this problem. So let's go through it. We've got 2x squared plus x plus 4 is equal to 0. So we can say x is equal to negative b, which is 1, plus or minus square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times 4 all over 2 times 2. So that's b, b, a, c, b, a, b, c, right? So now we can solve. So we've got negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1, and this is negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 4 is going to be negative 32 over 4. So that gives me negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 31, negative 31 all over 4. This has a negative number in it, so that means we have to take the I out. So it's going to be x is equal to negative 1 over 4 plus or minus the square root of 31 over 4 I. And we do that because we've got a negative in here. And once you create an imaginary number, you have to separate it into two terms. If it were just a radical, you could leave it like this, but that negative sign means it's a complex number, and we have to write complex numbers in two terms. So I think that's where you're messing up there. So go back and look at that. That's going to be what you need to do. Let's look at the next one that you were having a problem with. So again, we're going to reorder this problem. So this is going to be 5x squared plus 2x plus 7 is equal to 0. So this is A, this is B, and this is C. So x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 5 times 7 all over 2 times 5. All right, so then that becomes negative 2 20 times 7 would be 140. So that would be negative 136. And then that'd be 10. We can reduce that. X is equal to negative 1 over 5 plus or minus the square root of 136 over 5i. I always goes at the end. I think that's one of the things that I'm seeing you put the I here. The I never goes in front of the radical. The I goes behind. That is the proper format. And doing the proper format is part of doing the math correctly. So in order to do it correctly, you've got to put the I at the end. Now you could put the I here, or you could put the I at the end of the fraction. Either one of those is right, but putting it in front is incorrect. So be sure to write it with the correct format. Notice again, I've separated the two. Once it becomes an imaginary or a complex term, then you have to break it away from your known term. That has to become two different terms. So let's see if we can factor this any, just to see if we can reduce it. 136 is going to be 2 times, oh goodness, is that 136 divided by 2 would be 3, and then 130 would be 65, so it'd be 68. We can divide that by 2, so that'd be 2 times 34, which would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 17. So we can get 2 times the square root of 34 out of that. And I think that's where I messed up. Yeah, I should have done that first. So then this would be x is equal to -2 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 34 over 10. Now we reduce all of that. So x is equal to -1/5 plus or minus the square root of 34 over 5. And then that is I on the end. Okay. So that should do that. I think that's right. 2 times 8 is 16, carry 1. That's 136. So that looks right to me. Let me check my answer. Yes, that's correct. This is the correct answer that you would type in right here. This is the first term, and then this is the second term. Let's look at the next one. All right, here's the last one. So we'd have 3x squared plus 7x plus 3 is equal to 0. So this is our A, B, and C. X is equal to -7 plus or minus 7 squared minus 4 times 3 times 3. And all of that is over 2 times 3. Okay. All right, that is -12 times 3 would be -36 over 6. So x is equal to -7 plus or minus 13 over 6. So it's a positive 13. So then that would be, the answer? Let me double check. Yeah, so technically, because it's not negative, you don't necessarily have to split it up, but I wrote it with 2 blanks, so that infers that you ought to split it up for the sake of the answer. So that would be the proper answer right there. Just split it into 2 terms. It's still correct technically as 1, but it's just as correct with 2. It means the exact same thing. It's optional. When you're writing an answer like this and there's not an imaginary term here, it's optional. You can write it as 1. You can also write it as 2. And I put it in as 2 terms, so that's what it's asking for. So just split it into 2 terms. And I believe that was all that you needed. Yes, that's all of them. So that should be, hopefully that helps you understand what's going on. So you can see the process and you can see the proper format for those that we did before. Whenever there is an I in the mix, it never goes in front. It always goes behind. That's just the way it's written in mathematics. It is like a side note. It's like a last thought, right? And so we put it at the end, and then that creates the demand for it to be split into 2. When there is no I, there is no imaginary number, there's no square root of -1 to pull out, then you can split it into 2, but it's not necessarily mandatory. Either one would work. So you just look for the directions of, how many blanks do I have to tell you which one you're doing. Okay. All right, if you have any other questions, please feel free to holler, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I finally got a new computer. I'm so, thank goodness. So grateful. And now I can actually get back to work and do the things that I need to do for you guys. Finally got everything set up and put back on my system. So I'm back in business. Yay. I am missing you in class and in Bible, and I am looking forward to seeing you again next week. And I hope you have a good break from school tomorrow, a little time off to kind of catch your breath, and then we'll get back to it next week. See you then, sweetheart. Bye for now.